Ox Tools is the name, and mechanical stuff is my game. So today we got an episode of Meatloaf, and for those of you that are new to the channel, I'm Tom, the host, and Meatloaf is a collection of engineering, science, and metalworking related subjects that are not big enough for their own video. So we kind of bring them together and we look at a bunch of different things, and there's almost always something for everybody in it. So let's check it out and see what we have today. This comes to us from a friend all the way from England. This is a friend of mine in England, Alan Barker, and he sent me a real cool Chesterman height gauge recently, and this was in the package too. I just haven't gotten around to showing it. What this is it's a basically kind of a snap gauge that has some range to it. Okay, so it has a movable element on this end and a sliding element. Let's see, did I think I tightened that back up. Let's loosen that up. And a sliding element on this end here, so that you can slide the anvil. Okay, this would be the moving element, and this would be the anvil, and set up a gauge for any particular length that you want. Now this one here is set up for checking out some small feature, maybe a narrow groove in a part, or who knows, in some kind of recess they wanted to reach in there. We had a job recently where we actually built a custom one of these to measure a very small dovetail feature very accurately. And so what you do in this situation, I don't have a standard with me, but if you had well, we'll just pretend that this is a standard. You know, this is something of a known length, right? You would set that in here and adjust this and zero the indicator, right? And then basically what you read is you read plus or minus your tolerance right on the, so it has a nominal dimension, which would be that, and then you measure plus or minus from there. Now this one's interesting in that it has a removable section and some kind of clever design features that I'm going to show you here. So let's get in a little closer and we'll look at some of the kind of cool design features on this thing here. The first thing is this particular unit. This is a CEJ, which is made in Sweden. Carl Edvard Johansson, who's the father of gauge blocks, and so CEJ is a big kind of. I guess it's his company that made it into the modern era. So. Anyway, they make micrometers and gauge blocks and all kinds of stuff. So this is an English dial indicator. It's a Mercer. If you're not familiar with the Mercer brand, they're actually quite nice. This one's a little sticky. Probably could go for a disassembly and cleaning. I lubed it up a little bit, so it's kind of behaving itself a little bit better now. And you see, this has a range of travel here that's actually pretty significant. This allows you to open it up and then get inside, say, an O-ring groove or a snap ring groove or something like that, and actually gauge down at the bottom of that groove. So you can kind of get over it and then you can get into it, so if there's features in the way. So having a little extra travel there is kind of nice. So that's the Mercer gauge, and it's got some tolerance little tags on here so that you can set to can set a tolerance window there. So that's what those little tabs are for. And it looks like this was set up for that you could put different probe tips in it too. So this is the only ones that he sent along with it. These are easy enough to make if you need them for a custom job. Now the other thing is they spent a little bit of time with this clamp here, and this is kind of a nice clamp. And what they've done is they've actually relieved around it so that the center section is free to move, and when you run it down to clamp it, it's just moving that kind of center section. So that's just a nice touch. It's just nicely done. And then what we have here, this little guy here, this is a ball detent that rides in this groove and then maintains an alignment between the two probe elements, right? So we can slide it along, and then it kind of click, it locks into that little groove and keeps these points aligned with one another. Okay. I don't know what that is, so I fiddled around with it a little bit, and it moves, it does something, and then it locks back in there, but I haven't disassembled this thing fully to kind of understand what that does. So all the mechanics are kind of in this end, and this is just basic. Yeah, I see their gauge is sticking a little bit there. Yeah, it needs a little bit of help. So all the mechanics are kind of in this end here. So now the other notable thing on this that was kind of cool was this coupling mechanism between the two sides. So here's the screw, right? It's loose as a goose, right? And we have this. So there's a couple requirements. You got to suck this thing together nice and tight so those two shoulders meet up, and you got to get that groove aligned, right? So you can't just do this. You can't just do this with threads, right? It's just not going to work. And you got a pin here that's interfering with the rotation, right? So how the hell does this work, right? Well, this stud has some magic going on inside. It has a 45-degree kind of V in it, and what happens is this screw drives into that V and actually pushes it one way or the other, right? So actually pushes it this way, which draws this thing together. So let's go ahead and do that. We can put it in, and we'll thread that together. And this is all ground on the ID. It's all very, very nice. And so we get it up close to the, can I go one more? Yeah, I'll go one more turn here, and then pull that together. And then I think this is so I think I got enough turns on it. And then I'll run this set screw down. Okay, and that pulls that whole mess together. And so this arm here can actually just slide across that intersection. Oop, oh, you know what? I need one more turn on it. Yeah, see, I didn't quite get it, Mr. Bozo. Okay, well, I think you guys got it. I just didn't, well, you know what? Let's just do it here. Well, I got you cornered and you're paying attention, right? Oh, yeah. Let's go one more. Let's go 2 turns. Screw it. All right. Push that back together. Yeah. And then we'll run that down. See if I can do this real quick. I don't want to bore you guys to tears here. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's better. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, yeah, and it slides across the joint better now too. So anyway, that's a couple of little design features, and then it looks like you can just keep going here. It must have been a big set, so this thing might have gone out to, a meter or more measuring ability. So, but I have 2 extension bars that he sent along with it, and all you do is stack up some gauge blocks or whatever, and you can use it as a standard and set any kind of dimension that you want. Anyway, Alan, thank you very much for sending that along. Kind of cool. I finally got a chance to play around with that. Thank you, sir. This cool tube comes to us all the way from Doylestown, Pennsylvania. This is from a viewer named Mark Crick. And Mark, let's see, I think he contacted me on Instagram and said, hey, I got this weird piece of material. I don't know what it is. Maybe you can identify it. I'll send it to you. So anyway, he sent it to me. And he put it in this really cool tube, right? And spent some time wood turning some cool plugs on here, and then with some very specific instructions on how to open it, right? So Yeah, look at that. I mean, those are really nice, nice plugs there. Is it mahogany or something? Yeah. So, anyway, this is the thing that he sent, along with some chips and anyway, nice too. So, Mark, what you have here, this is a UHMW, ultra high molecular weight polyethylene, and it's used for, it's actually, you know, a bearing material in food processing equipment. They use it for wear guides and bottling plants, things like that. And it's chemical resistant. This appears to be recycle, and that's what these the little flecks that you mentioned are. So some of it's reprocessed and into you know, recycle as opposed to virgin bar, and that's what they mean when they say virgin or recycle, right? Virgin is pure resin that's clean and you know, it's one time through, and recycle. These chips are pretty typical for UHMW, pretty hard to get a chip to break with this stuff. My best advice on machining this is actually low cutting speeds, so you don't make a lot of heat, and big cuts, and kind of you know, make a nice heavy chip so that the chip drags the material down with it and behaves itself. If you try to cut this at super high RPM and whatnot, you just end up with lots of bird nests and all kinds of stuff. But this is 3-inch diameter here. This is nice stuff. So makes good hammerheads. So if you have soft hammers or whatever, you can make hammerheads out of it for shaping sheet metal, that kind of stuff. Anyway, Mark, thanks for sending this along. And Mark had a kind of an interesting idea with this nice tube that he made. And he told me that it's traveled 2,857 miles to get this piece of plastic to me. So he said, hey, why don't you reuse this and send it to somebody else, and we'll keep a tally on the miles and see what we can get this thing up to. So I think I'll throw something in here. And now it came from Pennsylvania, so let's see, who do I know on the East Coast? Maybe I'll send it to Robin or Keith Fenner or somebody like that. I'll send them something and have them send it along to somebody else, see how many miles we can rack up on this thing. But Mark, thanks for sending that along, and materials are always good, and that's some useful stuff, and we'll make something out of that. So thanks very much for sending that along, and nice turning job. What we got here, these are pretty cool. This comes to us from a viewer named, his name is Tom also, and he saw me using my little cheesy screwdriver here, trying to pry something and manipulate it, and he felt sorry for me. So he sent me a couple of these. These actually, they're pretty cool. I like them. They're made by Gato or Gato tools, and they're little pry bars, right? That's exactly what they are. And they got a nice little crook in them, and they come out to a real fine tip. So these are actually pretty nice. Now, you know, I carry this cheesy one, right, so that you don't use, and I'm guilty as hell as using this as a pry bar as well, right? But the idea is that, you know, I can check, you know, check metals and stuff like that with a magnet, and, you know, clean out stuff or scrape or pry or whatever, and I'm using a really kind of a cheesy, cheap throwaway tool and not one of my good tools. That's the idea behind this, right? And so I'm very careful about what I add to my apron, right? I don't want my apron to weigh 1,000 pounds or whatever, so I don't know if I'll put one of these in my apron, but I'm going to keep them nearby because they're actually a very nice little pry bar, you know, kind of for fine stuff, and having two of them, you know, you can do kind of the puller thing or whatever. So Tom, thank you very much for sending those along, and his deal is the Hilltop Machine Works. Not sure if he has a YouTube channel or not. Saw you in your last video struggling with the optical dividing head, yeah. Enclosed are some awesome pry bars, so you don't have to use screwdrivers as pry bars. Yeah, anyway, thanks Tom. Anyway, check out Hilltop Machine Works and Gato Tools. And sorry, Tom, but I don't think these are made in the U.S. I think these are made in a foreign country. So, but they look like they're pretty good, and they seem well heat treated, and the tips are nicely formed. So I would buy more of these if I need them. So. Okay, so this one here, this is pretty cool actually. This is the thing we're looking at. This was given to me by a friend of mine at work, workmate. His name is John, and he's a machinist there at work, and he occasionally watches my channel, and when I bump into him, we chat a little bit. Anyway, he said, "Hey, I got something for you," and he hooked me up with one of these. Now, what is it, right? Well, it's a safe bet that it has something to do with Interapid indicators, right? And if you're like me, and a lot of people, you know, I've never been super happy with the dovetail locations, you know, on these. I mean, they work out for some things, but just kind of in general, I don't know, it's just not my preference where these are, okay? I mean, it's just a personal thing, right? So they have this little stem on them, and the idea is, with this thing here is, and this was all wire cut, this is all wire EDM, and let's see, okay, so it's made out of stainless steel, non-magnetic, and what they've done is, or what he's done is cut a little hole in it that fits the stem real nice, and the idea here is now we have our dovetail. Let's just go ahead and do it. We'll stick it in the Nogemeister there, and stick it in there, and clamp her down. Let's see, let's loosen it. And now it's, you know, it kind of mounts like like what we're used to with other indicator makers, right? More of a standard mount, right? So we go right to the dovetail without any kind of weird offset adapters. We're in line with the arm and whatnot. So, and then this particular one, you can do this way too if you want it that way. Let's see if I can get it in there. These holes, they fit real super nice. John did a knock-up job on that. So, and now you can do that or go that way or whatever you want, right? Now, I did something a little different, and this is how we got on, John and I got onto this subject, right? We were talking about Interapid indicators and whatnot, and what our favorite indicators are and all that. And here's what I did. I did something a little differently here, is I just got rid of the stem itself and made a little bronze bit with a dovetail on it that goes right into the dovetail there, okay? And that works pretty good too, and kind of does the same thing. Although, you know, if you're using the stem in some of your other indicating equipment and whatnot, then clearly you don't have a stem, right? So this is a good alternate there. And then here's yet, if you haven't seen this thing here, this little beauty here, this is a little indicator holder here too, although it does use the stem. And this is a little surface gauge here for real kind of lowrider stuff here, like so, right? Okay, and now you can get down real low and all that, and it's just a nice little handy thing. So it goes in this side here. There's a little stem hole here, and then there's also oh, let's go ahead. Oh no, there's a complicated instrument. All right, Robin. This looks like something Robin would build, right? For dual differential indicating, differential simultaneous indicating of presumed flat surfaces. So anyway, John, thank you very much for that. That's pretty cool. I like it, and I got plenty of Nogas around. So and as you can see, I got a couple of Interapids kicking around here. So we'll put this to good use. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that, and I'll see you at work very shortly. Okay, this next one here. This is this was a Craigslist buy here. I bought this off Craigslist, and why did I buy it? I was talking to somebody, and we got onto the subject of hub micrometers, and that's what this is. This is a hub micrometer here. That's the name for this particular piece. This one happens to be a Starrett. Mitutoyo makes them, and Shear Tamiko makes them. They're all good. It doesn't come up very often that you need one of these, and but when you kind of do, you kind of do. And so you're going, well, what the heck do you use that for, Mr. Lipton? And I'm going to show you. This was a little bonus too. We'll talk about that in just a second here. So as you can see here, this thing, you know, it's very low profile, right? You know, from the center line here to the back side is extremely small, right? And that's what you need this for, right? Is kind of reaching over a hub. And here's a good example, is a part like this that has a bore and then kind of a rim at the bottom, right? And so, you know, we might be in the lathe like this, right? And we're boring this and doing that, right? Well, many times the critical dimension is this thickness that's left here, right? You know, from this back surface to this interior surface here, right? And you really want to measure that directly, you know, if you're doing, you know, close tolerance work, right? And an easy way to do that is this. And this is, you know, this flies through that bore very easily, right? And now you can, let's see if I open it up. Yeah, there it goes. And you can get a nice dimension, right? And you know, you can rotate this around and check it in a few places to make sure that you're straight with the world too, right? So that these two surfaces are parallel as well. And then you just read it direct right off of there. And you know, otherwise, you know, how are you going to measure that, right? So if you know, if that's up against the stop, sure, that's one thing, you know, but is it firmly up against the stop and et cetera, right? So measuring it directly is usually your best bet for closer tolerance work. And this is, you know, it was relatively cheap. I saw it on Craigslist, and it was, you know, I looked at them on eBay, and where all you guys, pesky compressor. So I looked at them on eBay, and I didn't like the ones that I saw, and so, you know, I said, okay, I'll just wait until a nice one pops up with a buy it now or something like that. That's a decent price. And I just happened to be cruising around on Craigslist like I do, and I saw this, and it was a local guy. And I said, hey, listen, you know, if I pay a couple extra bucks, will you throw that in an envelope and mail it down? And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. So anyway, I PayPal'd him some money, and here it is, right? It all worked out real nice, and nice fellow to deal with. Sorry, I can't remember his name right now. And anyway, it was you know, just a straight up kind of business transaction. I guess this was his dad's. His dad worked at Aerojet or something up there in Sacramento, somewhere up that way, and this is out of his tools. And he sent me a little bonus thing here too, which is the Starrett radius gauges. And I didn't have a set of these, this particular style here, this leaf style, that has an exterior and an interior cut here. Like, am I going to get lucky here? Not quite. Okay, pretty close. All right, so and this is just something that you know, it comes up every once in a while. You're checking radiuses on a. Usually, it's when you're reverse engineering something and you want to check a radius and duplicate it on another part. So that's usually when that comes up. But anyway, hub micrometer, and that's how you use it and what it's good for. So get them while they're hot. This next group is some books that I got off eBay, and this is one of those deals where I saw these, and I just put it on my watch list, right? And it was pretty cheap. I don't even remember now what it was. It was under $10, and I put it on my watch list, and anyway, it was just sitting there for a while. And then I get one of those little messages that says, hey, the seller's offered you a little discount, right? And I went, oh. So, you know, it was a couple bucks off, whatever it was, and I said, okay, fine, I'll just get them. Now, it wasn't for this book, and it wasn't for this book. This is, they're all in German, okay, and I don't speak German, and But the one book of interest that I got a bunch of flags on here, you can certainly follow along pretty easily. Now this I think is some stories or fables or poems or something like that that I have no interest in particular. These two are connected a little bit. This is a little kind of a travel guide to Altenburg, Germany, and it's got color. So this is from the, I don't know, the 70s or something like that, late 60s, early 70s, something like that. A travel guide showing some of the sites and things that are there in Altenburg. The thing that I was most interested in and what I bought this lot was, and it's got this wonderful leather cover here that kind of came with it. I don't know if somebody made those or what, but this is and let's just move this out of the way here. This is a book, and this is just me kind of reading between the lines and looking at the content and how it was listed and whatnot. And there's a clue right there, right? And some files. So what this is a kind of a beginning apprenticeship book for like a tool and die maker, okay? And that's what caught my interest. And this particular book is from 1939, which was, as a lot of you know, an interesting year in Germany in particular. So it's pretty old. And so I'll check the exposure and whatnot, and then we'll look at some of these things I have flagged. So let's take a look at, I just flagged a few things of interest here. So, like I said, I don't speak German, and I didn't use my translator thing. So here's a good one here, and that we can certainly follow along, right? And what they're talking about here is they're talking about heat treating and the proper way to put the part into the quench, right? And so I'm assuming that means no, not this way, dumbbell, this way. Seems pretty logical to me, right? And they're talking about sharp corners and cross sections and things like that. These two are okay. This one's not so good. You got a long skinny part here. Don't put it in that way. Put it in vertically, etc. So, like I said, some of these things you can just kind of follow along. Let's see what the next thing I got marked here is. Okay, so this one I thought was kind of interesting here. They're talking about measuring hardnesses of materials here. And you have your spherical indenter, and then they're talking about the load in kilograms per square millimeter, so which is kind of neat. And then now this one here, I believe, and once again, reading between the lines here, maybe some of our German-speaking folks can hone in on this. But I believe what this is this is a rebound type hardness measurement here. So there's a ball in a track or something like that, and this little lever here releases it, and it rolls down and hits against the hardened steel and then recoils, and then you read the hardness off of this scale here. So I think that's what this is here. Not 100% positive. I haven't seen one that's horizontal. I have a vertical one that's similar to this, and but I've never seen one that's kind of horizontal with a curved track like that. So kind of neat. And then spark testing metals, all pretty common stuff. And then we've all seen this one here. What not to do with your chisels and punches and things like that. This is the proper way. This is the non-proper way. And so that's that's universal old man yelling at you in the shop to clean up the ends of your chisels, right? And okay, so what else we got in here? Let's keep going. Oh, this is scraping. So a flat scraper, curved scraper, and then something that you might scrape, or they're showing this as you're using this as a standard like straight edge or whatnot. And then we get all the way to the back here, which is kind of interesting. And what we have, I believe, is kind of a project. It's a first project to kind of start with, right? In your die making apprenticeship, right? And it's a work process here, you know, step by step kind of, okay, mill it flat, mill the shoulders, mill the groove, you know, mill the slot, and so on and so on. And then it just keeps going. And here's some diagrams of what we're making. So this is the part, and this is the strip, and then this is kind of the general die layout. Okay, and what they're gonna be doing, right? And then, you know, they got some dimension drawings and whatnot. So if you want to make a, you know, it's funny. I just made one of these actually for a box, and I probably could have used that. I probably could have used that diagram because I was sitting there thinking about all the proportions of that. So, and then here's, you know, kind of step by step. You know, all the different. This is like a traveler, right, or a work process diagram here, right, which is kind of neat. And on your first apprenticeship project, right? And off you go, right? Okay, we got some heat treating, you know, cutting out the opening there, and die filing. You know, here's your punch, right? Okay, that's a interesting filing job, right? And so on and so on. And then let's see, all the way in the back here is a pretty cool dimensioned, and I'll hold that for a second in case people want to kind of freeze that and save it, but there's a really nice tap handle with dimensions. So I assume that this is a project for the apprentices to make. You know, that's pretty common to make tools for yourself. So anyway, pretty cool books, you know, if you speak German and you're a die making apprentice, shoot me an email and I'll send you a book. Okay, so anyway, what's even better than a More Precision Tools jig bore badge? Now this is original off of a jig bore, brass, probably silk screened back in the day. What's even better than that? Question. Okay, well, I'll tell you what's better than that. Your very own T-shirt with that same badge on it. Now, here's the story. So I horse traded some stuff, and I ended up with this badge off of an old jig bore, old Moore jig bore. And I had a friend of mine, Tom Utley, who makes machine tags like this. I sent him these images just so he could have them in his library. But I said, hey, you know, what would it take to clean that up? And he says, oh, well, let me mess around with it. So he cleaned it up, and I ended up with this here. And I had to put on some T-shirts. Now, if you guys want one, and if you know anything about Moore tools, then you probably might be keen on having one of these T-shirts. In the banner right below the video window, you can scroll through the Teespring selections there for my channel, and you'll find this shirt, and you can order it in your size and whatever color you like. And it's a great way to support the channel. I never ask for handouts or Patreon, you know, support or things like that. That's just not my gig. And but this is a great way to support the channel, and you get something back in your hand that's tangible for you too. And you're doing a great thing supporting the channel and helping out. So if you've got some people on your Christmas list that might be interested in this, hit them up and order up a T-shirt or two, and it's much appreciated. So thank you very much.